Let me know when we're live. Ava, we live?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. What's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Locker Room Chronicles. We brothers are glad to be here. What's up, Carolina Wren?
Sadly.
Jacoy, what's up? Marvin's in the building. We have somebody new. The Brents, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. But what we like to do here at the Locker Room Chronicles is get into, the man's point of view, our perspective, how we deal and sometimes not deal with the relationships that we get in. What makes them successful, what breaks them down and all that. But men and women, just like, men are from Mars and women from Venus and all that other good stuff, that we have different perspectives on how we deal with things when it comes to these relationships. So we're going to get right on into it. Right now I'm K Solo, but hopefully my co-host will show up a little later on in the program. We're dealing with exceptions to the rule. Now, what do I mean by the exception and the rule? There have been some posts that were posted recently, and what they dealt with was like this imbalance in relationships. Now, we all have our ideal balance and scale of what a relationship should be about. It should be 50-50 and all that, but that's idealistic. But from what these posts are saying, that's not really true. And we're going to dig into it and talk about it because, one side feels that another person has to do a little bit more in different types of ways throughout the relationship than the other in order to feel loved. You have to be worthy and all of that, but you want to achieve something that's equally yoked, but for some reason one has to win out. One gender has to win out over the other. Has anybody ever been in that situation where they've been in a relationship where you feel that tension, that pull back and forth on, who's doing more for the other person in that relationship and always trying to compete and balance?
I think probably most people have, but I'll just tell you, when I got married, or before I got married, as we're going through the marriage counseling, the pastor essentially, excuse me?
Go ahead.
He explained his perception on that. He said essentially, you always hear about this 50-50 nonsense. He said sometimes, it's going to be 60-40. It might be 70-30. Sometimes it's going to be 90-10, but it ain't ever going to be 50-50 in your marriage. So some people, I guess they manage it by gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a very unpopular topic in this group, but I don't know. One of the big things that my ex-wife, she had a problem with was, when it came down to do this with the children. For whatever reason, she ended up with the children most of the time, and so I would try to help, but really nothing I would ever do would be enough unless I was just doing everything for a particular some time. She wanted help, but when I helped, other things would just fall off, and of course that would be a fight and a complaint. So I had to take care of those things because she didn't know what I was doing. It was a communication issue. I think that communication is the basis, and as soon as you get your communication down, I think that while it may never be 50-50 on any particular thing, as long as everyone knows, that one hand washing the other, as long as the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, and people are pulling their weight, whatever their weight should be, I don't think it's too big of a problem. But when person A feels that, I don't know, if they're doing the laundry all the time, and person B is, I don't know, cutting the grass all the time. Maybe person B doesn't want to cut the grass this week. Maybe person A doesn't want to do the laundry this week. Maybe they switch. I don't know what the answer is, but yeah, I felt that pressure. I think everybody's felt that kind of pressure in a relationship. Bill, we can't hear you.
All right, Jacoy, you want to jump in here or?
I can. I guess I can't say I've really had that issue, mainly because I've always been one to challenge gender roles. My biggest thing in relationship is get in where you fit in, because I realize this is not necessarily my great grandparents' generation where men did all the manual labor while women stayed at home and did all the homemaking. And so my expectation has always been in a relationship: do what you can, I'll do what I can, and we can figure it out together. And that has been a healthy model for me in most of my relationships, because if we get too caught up in one side versus the other, you're almost creating a playground for friction. And I make no qualms about it. I am very non-traditional in many ways, and I make that clear. So, and I'm very honest and almost a little too frank about it. And I'm very clear that not to expect me to do certain things based off of certain traditional gender or societal norms, because I'm just not. Prime example, as it relates to a lot of hard work stuff, I pay folk to do that stuff for me. So don't expect me to just live into a certain stereotype because I'm in a relationship when I don't even live into those stereotypes in my own life. And I think if everybody just do what they're capable of doing, regardless of what it may look like, as long as it creates some sense of balance for the relationship, I'm cool with it.
Oh, hey, Gary, I see you just popped in. Gary, just a quick recap. We're talking about the exception and the rule. And what I mean by that is that, we have these rules, these standards that each gender has, right? We're becoming more modern aged and more forward thinking and being more balanced and equal in the way that we treat men and women treat each other, right? Because I mean that's the most fair and balanced way. Um, but still, even though we believe all that, we still hang these heavy chains of burden around that person that's supposed to live by their gender standard rule, while when you do the flip side of it, there's all these exceptions to it. Yeah, but since you just perfect example. Um, there are certain rules that quote unquote a real man is supposed to have in order to be in a relationship. A man's supposed to be able to take care of the house, pay all the bills, pump my gas, go take out the trash, do the lawn, cut the lawn, and all that other stuff. But you ask a woman to cook, and you've started World War III. So um, I know the women out there going crazy in YouTube land, but there are also flip sides to the issue. A man wants to act like, he's all bold and proud for talking about, I deal with the money, I make the money, I'm gonna deal with the money, I'm gonna deal with the finances. But the woman may be a financial genius, scholar, but he's all prideful in his ways in that gender role. When there's an exception, like, yeah, I want you to be equal and everything. I'm starting to recognize that you're equal in everything, but I still don't want to pay you the same amount of money for doing the same thing. So there's these little exceptions in everything that we make. So we want you to speak about it, Gary. What's your experience?
All right. Anytime somebody comes up or professes a particular standard, first thing I want to know is where's the standard come from? If you're talking about what you grew up with, that's one thing. If you're talking about from a biblical perspective or from a perspective from the Quran, that's another thing. So first thing is, what language, what are we talking about? Because to me, until you establish that, you're really you're spitballing it. Okay? You're spitballing it. You're just making it up as you go. So once we establish where this standard came from, we can talk and we negotiate. Because in trying to build a romantic relationship, negotiation is an essential component. You have to be able to negotiate because you're not going to be compatible. There's going to be areas where you don't mesh. I should add also, too, what you bring as a person in terms of your beliefs. And obviously, those beliefs are shaped in large part by your experiences and also the philosophical decisions that you make. And understand, too, when we're talking about this stuff, the vast majority of things that we're talking about are preferences.
Right.
Preferences. We're not talking about, we're not even talking about non-negotiables. We're talking about preferences. And if we're talking about preferences, then there is negotiation. There should be room for negotiation in terms of your preferences. Okay, but if you want to hold fast to your preferences, that's fine too. For me, the framework that I operate from is a biblical framework. There's a degree of flexibility built within that. But as my father said, make sure that your family can live on one income. And that would be me in the vast majority of cases. Yeah. So let's establish the standards. And then once we establish the standards, let's make sure we're saying the same thing. And then we can go from there.
Well, how do you feel? I know that you've been in this experience. I know I have. There are things that, you may come in a relationship as a macho man in some type of way, not in all ways, but there's something that you feel is, innate within men that you have no problem with submitting to the rule or to that standard. Like for instance, many guys accept the role as being the protector. They're not going to put that on their woman, wife, significant other. So most people would, say, yeah, that's a man thing to do. So I have no problem with that. But then on the other hand, it's like there are some things that we get caught up and wrapped up in, usually due to our ego and our preferences. We put so much value in our preferences. For a woman, she's got to be, the somebody's daughter, picturesque type of woman. And for women, the ideal man is that somebody's son, ideal body. But, and there are just some things that, I have to have a man that's over 6 feet tall and all these other, you put this stuff on people and all this weight on people and these standards on people, what you think are standards, but they're just your preferences. The ladies did a show pretty much about that yesterday. Charlene and Ashley did an excellent show about that yesterday on their show. What is it? What's it called? Miss Me With the Bullshit. And they talked about that. How you kind of put this expectation on everybody's supposed to check these boxes and everything, but when it comes to you, you better not have any requirements upon me because I'm my own person, and you have to love me for who I am and all that other stuff. I don't have to change in any type of way. Then that hypocrisy comes about in the relationships. And a lot of times just over preferences, something very minimal in your relationship, you put so much weight on it that it becomes a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Yuli, you want to speak on some of that?
Hey, to follow up on it, let me give you an example of my evolution. When I was looking for a wife, the first wife, in my middle 20s, she had to be a wage earner. She had to look a certain way, but she also had to be domestic. That's really unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm going to demand that you're a wage earner, you're going to come into the household after earning those wages the same way I am. So that domestic aspect really is a shared experience. Maybe she does all the cooking, but I do the dishes, which is the way I did it with both of my wives. They did the cooking, but I always took care of the kitchen. Always made sure the kitchen was clean, when everything was done. So as I think about that now at age 65, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of stupid. So, yeah, like you were saying, Bill, sometimes our preferences get in the way of common sense.
Absolutely.
Let me turn it over to Yuli.
Speak on it, Yuli.
I don't know, man. I wanted to listen a lot. Well, I'll just speak on, what Gary was just talking about. This, it sounds like at the end of the day, everybody wants this sense of, equality, like a shared experience with the other person. So you can't create a space where it feels like one person has to do more than the other person because they're going to feel exhausted. They're going to feel like it's too much of a burden on them, and it's going to cause resentment and things like that. And I think a lot of times we do, what Bill was saying, oftentimes I'm in these group chats and I hear the word standards get thrown out, right? And like, I think we throw that term out like loosely to kind of hide sometimes, in some cases, a sense of entitlement. It's one thing for you to have standards and expectations for yourself. I get that. But to feel like it's owed to you, that's where the word entitlement comes in. And then it comes off that way when you tell a guy, oh no, what you gonna do is this, or this is what you gonna have, or this is what you gonna, because I'm this, you know what I mean? Or when you put yourself out there in the sense of saying like, you gotta do this, and this for me, or to me, or for me to think about giving you a real chance. You know what I'm saying? Based on some things that may have happened with me in my past and some things that I've seen, or just that, So, to the guy that you do meet that may have all the best intentions, like it would make me like, nah, I don't want to do that in a sense, because, you would cause me to overexert myself when we don't know each other out of the gate. And I should have some discernment on protecting myself too. It should be an equal playing field, and I don't think in my age bracket, I don't see that a lot, so it puts me in a more reserved stance. And, that's just been my experience.
What exactly don't you see a lot though? Because I just want to see if there's a difference in like, our generational differences,
Well, what I don't see a lot is the young ladies who, and maybe, maybe I'm picking, maybe I'm gonna take some accountability too, because from a physical stature standpoint, I do tend to date the somebody's daughters, per se. So I am gonna say that. Not to say that all of them are shallow, but what I will say, what I don't see a lot is the reciprocation aspect. Like I do these things, yes, naturally, because I want to do them. Yeah, I'm gonna plan a date. I'm gonna, a lot of times, sometimes I pick you up depending on if you prefer to drive or not, because I know how women are a little shy about that nowadays. But You know, I'm the gentleman because I want to be, because that's what I was taught to be. You know, I pick up the checks. I make an added effort to show you that, you know, I know how to treat a woman, right? And then, you know, like then it turns out, like, from a reciprocation standpoint, like, okay, I shouldn't be the only one initiating our conversations all the time. I shouldn't be the only one saying that I want to see you all the time. I shouldn't be trying to hunt you down or whatever like that, and try to, you know, everything shouldn't have to go on your schedule all the time. You know what I mean? Like, give me something back. You know what I mean? Like, show me you in this too. Show me you're interested too. You know, besides just showing up. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So that's what I
yeah.
meant by not seeing it.
Yeah,
I
I understand exactly
effort.
what you meant. Yeah, I mean, there's like there were so many, you know, memes and posts about this type of thing, but just using different scenarios in order to pretty much, to sum it up to me, say you selfish. You know, like it's all right for a man to buy a woman a, what is it, a Birkin bag, but you dare not buy him a PS5 or Xbox X. Xbox X and PS5 is $500. How much a Birkin was? Am I saying it correctly? Birkin bag?
Birkin bag. It's very expensive.
How much is that? Is that double the price at least? But you're saying that, you know, I look like a fool if I buy a man an Xbox, and maybe even make some rules like, I'll buy you an Xbox, but it's gonna stay at my house. That way I know you coming over here to see me. You'll be in my presence, you know, when you're playing the game. Be smart about it. But to say, oh no, women don't do nothing like that, I wouldn't dare. But it's expected because from a man, from the other side, because you have to, I might have a bougie attitude on life, or, you know, a bougetto attitude on life, where I look at things of value in things of quality, and equate that with value. Like, the higher the price tag, the more, you know, the more quality it is. And that might not necessarily be so, because that Birkin bag is made right beside, you know, the knockoff many times. And you paying one price for one, and somebody's paying a whole different price for the other. Same Chinese person made it, you know. But those type of things, you know, twist and turn in a relationship, and has the other person feel some type of way. And I don't think people realize that their preferences, that they will fight to the death in maintaining, and those preferences become actually standards in their book. That if a man is not willing to do for me that thing, or a woman, if she's not willing to cook and take care of the kids, and fold the laundry, then, you know, that's not good enough for me. She's not worthy to be in my world, you know. And I think we put too much weight on it, and people will deny that it's actually that way. But you can tell people's mentalities by what they post. Cecil, you have anything to speak on that about it? Hey, Carl, I didn't see you come in here. Oh, Myron, I didn't get your point.
I just got in here.
Myron, you go first.
Well, I mean, I think people just we get too wrapped up in our heads into what we think things should be, and what we think, whether it's men are supposed to do this and women are supposed to do that. And we just kind of get this that's going on. And then, you know, we start building these things in our head, and what, you know, my dream woman is going to do this and that and that. And we kind of pigeonhole ourselves in our relationships into what it's supposed to be, and what I'm supposed to do and she's supposed to do, and whatever the case may be, instead of coming together. And while you're getting to know somebody, you know, you come together and you see, what are my strengths? You should be focused on what your strengths are. This is what I can bring to the table. These are the things that I do well. These are the things that I handle well. And you can also know some things that maybe you don't handle well. Like in the past, I've had a problem with whatever, handling the money or whatever the case may be. And then when you sit down as you're getting to know each other, you kind of talk about what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And then you kind of see how it can blend together, because it's a partnership. And if I am good with money, you're not good with money, I'm a decent cook, you're a decent cook, then we can say, all right, we can both share the things that we're good at. The things that we're not good at, then we kind of figure out, all right, well, maybe we just need to, if we're going to be for the car, I'm not good with the car, she's not good with the car, we just know we need to deal with a mechanic when that issue comes up. And you just kind of set the ground rules of what's supposed to come up. Typically, you might say, well, the man is supposed to work on the car, but not all men are. And if that's the case, it's not a problem. You just know that when that issue comes up, the solution is to go to a mechanic. The same man might be good at fixing stuff in the house. They might be able to do plumbing. They might be able to do painting. A lot of sisters now are into interior decorating. They can do painting and whatever the case may be. So it doesn't have to be the man's role. But you sit down, I know my strengths, she knows her strengths. We can sit down and say, all right, well, these are the things that can come up. These are the things I'm good at. What are you good at? And you kind of blend it together, figure out what you both can do and what you both need help in doing. So you might have to bring something from the outside and stop going with these, you got to cook, you got to clean, type things, because, not everybody's doing it. I know I had to understand that, and I had to deal with that, because similar to what Gary was saying, I grew up pretty much traditional. My mom, took care of the house. She did all the cooking, whatever the case may be. So, I was like, yeah, I want a woman that can cook and clean and whatever. But I also love a woman that's very ambitious and very into her work. So, I want that go-getter, I want that hard worker, but if she's going to work and working hard and doing that, then she might not be doing all the, quote unquote, traditional things. And that's something I had to kind of understand and be able to say in my mind, I want this, and this. But when you look at it in reality, not everybody's going to have everything. So you're going to have to start thinking of, all right, well, what's really important to me? What is the things that really matters to me? And start figuring out the things that float over to the, must-haves, and the things that float over to the, it would be nice if they had, but it's not a must-have. And start figuring that out. But until you really start looking at and evaluating things and communicating and self-analyzing, you'll never get to that point.
True. And you have to be realistic. I mean, we dive too much into this idealism and everything. Everything has to be, you have that conversation up front. You have that honest conversation up front. You have to have communication up front. Yeah, but real people in the real world don't operate like that. Cecil, let's hear from you, brother.
You have to understand in a relationship that you two are teammates working together to build something, shameless plug, to make your life, your relationship, your future, and your family great. And that there will always be needs, but every day will be different. Like my brother Myron said, if you marry an ambitious woman that owns her own business or that's working hard or that's doing some things, she's not going to always be ready, available, or have the energy to come home and cook, clean, or whatever. And in this day and age, things are so different than in the past when our parents grew up or whatever. Some people, it may take them two people working to have the income to afford the lifestyle they need. So you both may be out working all day and then grabbing kids from daycare and then rushing home. And y'all got to sit down and figure out, this is our life. These are our needs. How can we best attack it? You may, for whatever reason, marry a man that's not so handy. Well, how are we going to solve the problems that come with being handy? You may marry a woman that maybe she doesn't like being domestic, quote unquote. Well, how are we going to solve the problems? You know, can we hire a nanny? Can we hire, can we, solve our cooking needs some other way? Whatever it is, you both have to sit down and figure out how are we going to solve our problems? How are we going to make our money work? How are we going to make keeping the household up? I know some women that love doing yard work, that are pretty handy, love doing household projects. You know, they can lay tile, they can paint, they can do stuff. So that's not man's work anymore. That stuff's archaic. You know, there's no such thing as man's work. There's no such thing as woman's work. There's just work. And we have to work together to solve it, to make it work, to do it. So what you want to find is somebody that you're compatible with mentally, that you're on the same page with. How do we handle life? You know, maybe she works extra hours, so you may be Mr. Mom, you may be Daddy Daycare. So fuck that up and do what your family needs. You may enjoy hanging out with your kids, you should. You know, we can't live our lives through a book. Bill, you mentioned something, realistic. What is truly realistic nowadays versus idealistic? There has to be a blending of the two. And that's not to say throw away your dream, throw away what you want to do. Because one thing I've learned from some of my friends that have been married a long time, those things shift. I mean, look right now, we're in a pandemic, people have gotten laid off, maybe dad, or maybe the man was the main breadwinner, got laid off, and mom, the wife found something, to bring in some income. Now you need to get up and make breakfast and cook and clean and do all of that stuff, support her. And I know plenty of people who do both because they love each other. We have to, for those that want to quote unquote get married, be in love with the person. Some people are in love with the idea of marriage and they're just grabbing a person. But I got more. I'm gonna stop.
All right. That was a very interesting aspect. Clark, you want to jump in here, brother? Carl, I'm sorry. Turn on your mic.
No, that's fine. What I would add is simply this. I mean, you have to separate what you want from what you need. And it's important for you to know yourself as an individual. You can, like Brother Samuel said, you'll know your strengths. But if you can envision the type of relationship you want to have, whether it's a long-term relationship or a marriage, family, whatever it might break down to, that's your goal. So that's you and someone else. You have to see your part of it to know what parts you bring to the table, like Brother Samuel said, so you know what to look for. And it also will determine what you're willing to contribute to the situation. So when you meet women, who you see as candidates, now you know what to look for and what things to talk to them about. Because we've all been through airports. We've all been on those people movers. We all might say we want the same destination, but I could be on a people mover headed towards my gate and she could be at one headed towards baggage claim. So we want the same destination, but we're heading different directions. And even if we're headed in the same direction, there's going to be some disparity between where I'm positioned and where she's positioned. And so that's when we both realize that, now we both have to, we're in a position to determine, do we want to deal with this or not? And so you might meet a good woman, but she might not be the good woman for you, and vice versa, And so
good points.
I say that to say that most of the people that we meet may not be right for us. And that's okay. Because it's that 3 to 5% who is right for us that we need to pay attention to, without being arrogant in any way. I could sit across from dinner or drinks with thousands of women, but it's that woman who was going to be by my side, who I'm convinced is going to be by my side when I bury my parents. That's who I'm looking for, That's a much, much different person. And I'm sure in many ways, a lot of you can relate to what I'm saying. So, when you couple that with what I think Brother Ulysses said about the dating dynamic in the very beginning, just understand, and I'm willing to understand this, until generated interest is there, my contact ratio to hers is going to be higher. It might be 6-to-1, 7-to-1. Me, I text her, call her, whatever the case is, right? But I live in Atlanta. So the ratio of women to men is dramatically tilted in my favor. So if a sister goes weeks on end and that ratio grows from 7-to-1 to 12-to-1, even though that might be somebody who I really want to get to know, there's going to be another sister contacting me. Because see, dating, like relationships, it's an interactive activity. You have to show up, they have to show up. You have to do your part, they have to do their part. Because once you get in that relationship boat, I have an oar, she has an oar. And if only one of us is rowing, we're just going in circles. We won't cross the lake.
Mhm.
So these are all things that men and women should keep in mind. But what I want to just put out there to the brothers, and I heard this around the time that my divorce was being processed, is that we as men, we're responsible for the tone of all our relationships. And at the time that I heard that, I didn't want to take it in. But when I let it sink in, it not just means that whatever problems exist, it's on you. It just simply means if you're going to sit in that barbershop chair on Saturday and talk about what she will and won't do, figure out another way to approach it and take it to her and see if it does work. You know, that is on us to do, because we have the unique opportunity to set the tone for our relationships. So if I want a woman to be open with me, to communicate with me, I have to show her how easy it is for me to do those things. So I'm walking through the doors I want her to walk through as well. That would enable her to even follow behind me in many ways.
Okay.
Well, essentially, you're saying to treat them the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, yeah. In other words, give what you're asking for or what you're
Right.
seeking. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. You know?
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll say this on both sides. There's nothing wrong with checking a person for what you want in a respectful way. Meaning, if you're coming to me with your best and we're moving forward on this thing, I can't let you fall below, and I don't want to fall below. So if we're moving towards something, that's one thing. But if we're moving further back, then somebody needs to speak up.
Yeah. And after you speak up, if you don't see the changes that you need to see, you're responsible for protecting yourself and removing yourself.
Absolutely.
You can't put that on another person, point the finger at another person when it don't work out, because you saw it coming. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know you.
Yeah, many of us deal with those type of conflicts in a way where we want to place blame on the other person, when a lot of it is our intolerance in the first place of, you know, what you want and what you expect out of a person, and if they don't do that, I'm just plain intolerant of it because it don't match what I want, don't match what I figure I need. And then once you place the blame, that basically relieves any individual of any responsibility or accountability to anything, which means that you don't have to change because it wasn't your fault in the first place. The person that you're blaming did something wrong, and they should be the ones that have to change. But if you didn't do anything wrong, why should I change? We often deal with those different little struggles by, even when you're trying to have the most decent, most productive of conversations in relationships, we have to be cognizant of placing blame on one another, because when you do so, you're relieving yourself of any culpability in, you know, the friction. And whatever the problem may be, let's say the problem was you didn't cut the grass or whatever like that, right? And then you want to get all hot and mad and like, why do I always have to cut the grass? Why do I always have to cut the grass? When the problem actually was that you would have been up to cut the grass if your ass didn't stay out all night drinking. And then when you came back, you were on the Xbox and you just went to bed when the sun came up. You know, so you want to place that blame on why is she attacking me for doing this and everything when, you know, you're taking the blame off of yourself for what you contributed into that. We have to recognize that, and we have to stop blaming each other, and we have to start expecting each other to accept that aspect. Gary or Myron, you want to add anything to that? Oh, Myron, Carolina, what's up? I know you got something. Your mic.
Let me get this right. Along the lines of what Carl was saying, every individual is responsible for him or herself. And we're men, so I'm going to speak to what I was taught by the man in my life, my father. You know, he always taught me, son, if you don't get what you want out of life, it's your own fault. There was something that you did that caused your problem, or something that you didn't do to fix your problem. You know, Marines are always taught adapt and overcome. Whatever comes at you, that's all right. You got your orders, you have to carry out your mission. You adapt, you overcome. And if your relationship isn't going the way that you want it to go, then it's your fault because you didn't figure out a way to make it happen. So if she is not doing something that you want her to do, then figure out a way to give her a better reason to want to do it. Maybe she has to feel like it's her idea to do it. So make her feel like it's her idea. Make her want to suggest. I don't know what the case, whatever the argument is, it's your fault. As a man, it's your fault if it's not resolved. If you go to bed mad, it's your fault. Sometimes you just have, they always tell us, pick your battles, right? Pick your battles. And as young men, boy, we don't necessarily know how to pick our battles wisely when it comes to our women. Everything doesn't have to be a battle. Some stuff you just have to let slide. You know, it's, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. People always say, well, if Pops ain't happy either, ain't nobody happy. But if Pops ain't happy, Pops can get over it because that's what Pops is expected to do. Pops is supposed to do what makes the household happy. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Along the lines with what Yuli was saying, everyone has to be responsible for their own stuff. You can't go around blaming everybody. What I try to do, and what we should always do post-mortem after a relationship ends, is you just simply have to look in the mirror to see what your part was and what the breakdown was. It's on that other individual to see what their part was and admit what their part was. I can tell, everybody can tell you what somebody else did that was wrong. But can you look in the mirror and look at yourself and have that person looking back at you and admit what you did to cause the problem, or what you did to add to the problem, or what you didn't do to try to help fix the problem?
Oh, but that's the highest hurdle right there, man. Looking in the mirror. I mean, we had a post last week that blew up. We get these little these admin and moderator alerts in, behind the curtain that says basically this post right here is starting a fire. It's got 40 comments in 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So you might want to keep an eye out on it. And it might pop up again saying that, it's 200 comments in less than a half an hour. It's like fireball. So there was a post like that was just a joke. And I think many of us have seen it and know exactly what we're talking about. It was the whole woman texting a man and everything and asking his height. And the guy told him his height. And then he asked her what her weight was.
Oh,
right. And then it was a joke. It was a joke type of meme, but basically it was saying that, don't ask me my height if I can't ask you your weight. And this is the whole premise behind this title. There's a rule, but there's an exception to the rule. There's a rule, you don't ask a woman her weight, but there's an exception to that rule. If you flip it around, it's all right to ask a man how how tall he is. Basically, you're asking for a license to discriminate, but you don't want to be discriminated upon. And many people cannot receive that concept. That whole post talked about everything about how black men hate big black women and all this other. I mean, it made some of the most ridiculous accusations when that wasn't what the post was all about in the first place. It was just holding a mirror up to the person asking the height, and maybe a man is offended by you asking him his height, just like you are offended by a man asking you your age or weight. Why can't you understand that concept? But no, you give 275 comments to try to justify why it's cool to do that.
Oh, it went left
Carolina
quick.
Wren, am I lying? You
Oh,
am I lying?
Yeah, I'm like this, man.
Am I lying?
I made a comment.
I was taught you should never ask a woman how much she weighs or how old she is. I was just taught that from, so I thought that was just like a general rule. But I guess we don't have that rule. We don't have a male version of that. We don't. It ain't
Yo,
been.
I'm like this. When women fought for equal rights, you got them.
Huh?
Women fought for equal rights. They got them. Everything is their game. Everything is their game. You can't have it both ways. Sorry, ladies. But they're gonna be in my inbox now. I'm sorry, y'all can't have it both ways.
Nah, hey, you know.
I mean, it
I'm
went
waiting
left,
for the
man.
comments on this one.
So
Like,
think the
look,
thing that
all
we
I
have
said
to-
was, all my thing was like, okay, there was a few. I remember one comment in particular where she explained the difference between the two questions, and she made a very valid point. You get what I'm saying? Like the point is very valid because you can control your weight a lot of times. You can't control your height and that whole thing. And if she's a taller woman and she doesn't want to look down at a guy because she's tall, she's gonna want to date somebody who's at her height or more. Right? Get it. Like anybody with common sense can see that there are two different questions, right? The issue I had was the one liner up under that where it was like, well, yeah, if you angry because you can't grow no more or whatever like that, and just say that or something like that, so something to that tune, and it's like why the jab, man? like why whether I don't care if I'm 7 feet tall, which I'm not, but it's like when I thought about it, I was like, nah, I know I'm willing to bet 10-1 that if a gentleman in this lounge was to make the same point and then get the one line at the bottom, all hell will break loose on this chat. You get what I'm saying? And
be drugged from here to the North Pole.
You know, and that's the part where we gotta get better. We have to get better. I'm not saying that does not happen from males. I'm saying that with just from the number standpoint, that is way more women than men, that it happens more commonly among women in the lounge. Now, you know, I'm not gender bashing or nothing like that, but you know, it just is what it is. We see it so often. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that we just need to get better at overall. You know what I mean? But back to the original point, you know, yeah, who's to say that a guy don't feel offended if you ask him his height? Especially, you know, if he's a shorter guy. You know what I mean? So, you know, our feelings matter too at the end of the day. We want to be respected the same or treated with respect the same way that the woman wants to be treated when in regards to that question.
Mm-hmm. Clark, jump in. You look like you got something to say, brother.
You know, I think it boils down to what I call an emotional intelligence. You know, I'm a taller guy, and I've been told by some women that I'm too tall for them. You know, and it doesn't offend me. I mean, I'm going to embrace who I am, and I think we all have to embrace who we are. You know, I often tell people, you know, if you come out of bad relationship, bad string of relationships, don't alter the way you do things or the way you present yourself. Be your authentic self, because there's going to be somebody out there who appreciates you for who you are. You know, we can't alter our appearances, but by all means, you know, height is something that's just, it is what it is, you know?
You have no control over it. And that's
No,
what I
none
understand.
whatsoever.
There's no grace over something that you don't have any control over. I think there's like, you know, something in the Bible, and I'm paraphrasing, that, you know, you don't have control over how many strands of hair you have in your head, you know, so why are you worried about it? You know, there's these posts about, kind of joking men's penis size and stuff like that. If you think we really could have some type of natural control over it, I ain't talking about getting penile implants and all that craziness. I'm saying that we came this way. God gave us this. No matter what size, width, length, girth, and all that other stuff that we have no control over it. So why condemn us why crucify us in jokes and poor little tink jokes and short dick jokes and all this other stuff when you have no control over it? Height. A tall brother has no more control over being tall as a short brother has over being short.
I will say this. I just want to put this out there to everybody. You know, the good thing about forums like this, and many people lose sight of this, is that when you can read a series of comments on various topics that come from someone who you might have an interest in, which you never express that interest in, it's like an interview process. So I might be feeling somebody and go through like 2 weeks of comments and like, damn, I got the wrong impression about this one, you know, because
look what's on our head.
You're expressing and putting out there your vibe. And if you're taking jabs at just people openly, whether you're a man or a woman, that's going to say something to the person who might have some interest to you who hasn't even approached you yet.
Right. And then your DMs are dry. Go ahead.
Look, first of all, Carl, you haven't met the fun size part of this crew. But look, to me, I think as men, if we operate out of a simple rubric, everybody will follow. Respect everyone else's preferences as much as you respect your own. So if you do it from that perspective, the jokes about other stuff, that should not get into your spirit. Respect everyone else's preferences as much as you respect your own. You don't tear anybody down for their preferences, but don't allow anyone to tear you down for theirs. That's what I mean by respect. No more, no less than anyone else. If you don't like the fact that somebody jumps on you because you're short, hey, say so. If you don't like the fact, well, I don't think you can complain about that, but respect everyone else's preferences as much as you respect your own. That's all.
I agree with that, Gary. But okay. Let me ask you this. You did. I totally agree with you when you said it should. You know, we should get that back, right? But I've witnessed. You know, I've been in the group for a little while now. Like, I've seen occasions where it'd be a comment or a post that come by. I'd be like, I don't know about that one. But I just choose not to say nothing because I don't even want to get into the back and forth. And I'm sure a lot of other guys feel the same way. So we do respect but that is us respecting it. Like, we just letting it fly if it don't apply, right? But if it keeps happening over and over and over, it gets old, man. They keep seeing that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and mute the chat for today, man. I'm good because I ain't even got time, dog. Like,
and
that's real. You
people complain about why ain't no men commenting on here.
Exactly. Right. Bill, I was about to talk about that.
Yeah, because
go ahead,
Cecil.
you know, I've heard for years, where are the men at? Why can't we find quality men? You know, there's a shortage of black men, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Man, it's 8 billion people in the world. It's not a shortage of anything. I think what it is we need, all of us, men and women, but we need to evaluate what's really going to make your relationship work, and then what's nice to have. This whole tall man, big dick, a lot of money, six pack, whatever it is, those things are great. But none of those things guarantee a healthy relationship. And at this point, I'm seeing people at our age and our dating spectrum, if you're still caught up on things like height, physical features, or whatever, yeah, that's one thing to have that preference. But at some point, you got to grow up. For real, people may not like me, but you got to grow up. Is that going to make the relationship work? Is that going to make that man treat you right? Is that going to apply to having someone that's going to raise your kids right? If you already have kids, treat your kids right. If you want kids in the future, be a good man, be a stable husband, be whatever. And I'm just saying that because we're talking about men right now.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are going to equate to that man being good in a relationship with you, but things that are nice to have. And I'm saying that because remember when we were kids and we wanted stuff, and at certain ages, our parents was like, look, you got to grow out of that. You're 16 years old, you got to grow out of G.I. Joe. What's going to help you make money? What's going to help you get educated? What are you doing with your life that's going to help you be some more mature in the future? Yeah, and I love playing video games. But playing video games, unless you're playing video games for a group that's evaluating that game, that's not going to make you no money. What's going to get you ahead in life? And so it's the same thing with picking a partner. You know, I don't know. I'm gonna throw this out there because it was cool back in the day. Having waves, them days is long gone for me. But having waves, that ain't gonna make that man get up and go to work every day. That's not gonna make that man be a good provider. That's not gonna make that man being a good communicator. You know, For those who don't know, I'm a short dude. I was joking with a friend of mine and we were talking about something. And so I said it standing up normally. I said, you know, XYZ. Then I got in the chair and said XYZ again. I said, does that make it different? Because I'm saying it at 6'3". Same information. The part is, all my life I've heard, well, you're gonna miss out on a good woman because she overweight. And I'm just saying I heard that from me. I'm just saying I heard because to me, size doesn't really matter. Right? Being healthy matters. Being interesting matters. Having an attractive personality matters. I've dated women from all over the spectrum. I'll be honest, some of the ones that initially looked good to me, once I got into a relationship, they wasn't so good to me. And some of the ones that I was like, okay, she cute, all right. Once I got to know her, I was like, oh, you know what? She pretty dope. So again, I'm just saying for people my age, you don't have much time left. You might want to evaluate what actually moves the relationship forward. We'll
Basically, the intangibles, you know what I'm saying?
The intangibles, Julie.
Yeah, you know, stuff, values, core character traits, stuff like that. Stuff that you can't see with the naked eye, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then, you know, you had that argument of, well, I gotta be attracted to him at the beginning. That's the start, because you don't walk around with your personality on your shirt and that whole thing. It's like,
Julie, when I hear what I think about is, how narrow is your attractiveness view? I'll be honest, attractiveness view is kind of like that. I like light skin, dark skin, like tall, short. I dated a woman that was 6 foot tall. I enjoyed it, loved it, had a great time.
a lot of fun.
Women that are 5'4", can't seem to get below that, but are 5'4", like them too. I dated light skinned women, I've dated dark skinned women, I've dated slender women, I've dated voluptuous women. You know, my attractiveness spectrum is not so narrow that I'm cutting out a whole demographic of people. But we'll see it next week. I can only date people that are XYZ. And then some of them same people, the next week, my DMs are dry. You cut off a whole group of people.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. But I think we kind of get into for some people, we get into where you have to choose one or the other. And I don't think it's always a choice. But I definitely think, you know, like Cecil said, you have to be careful of limiting your view to be very, very narrow. You don't want to do that. But it's okay to have your preferences. The problem comes when your preferences overlook the other qualities that are more important, or you overlook bad qualities because the, you know, preferences, the height, the this, the that are there, but the toxicness is there, and you overlook the toxicness because you're looking at these superficial preferences. So I don't think we want to say, you know, the cute people, the tall people, the whatever people are always not going to be good in relationships, but we just have to be careful. Don't let those superficial qualities and superficial preferences overrule the real things. You know, you want them to be good in a relationship. You want them to be able to communicate. You want them to be able to compromise and also be whatever, tall or light skinned, but you know, you want both, but you don't want the superficial stuff to overrule and supersede the critical stuff, because it's really the critical stuff that's going to matter. You want to find somebody that has the critical stuff that also has the superficial preferences, and not the other way around, because when you do it the other way around, that's when you're really going to have a problem.
Exactly.
That's my word,
Exactly. Hey, Rob, thanks for joining us, brother. I know you know what the topic is about, and I know you got something to say.
He was stuck in makeup.
Hey, stop putting me out there like that, Rent. I'm not in makeup today. I was actually on a phone call doing something, but from what I've heard, I believe we spoke about this earlier, about the superficial, about the physical. The physical leaves. The mental can leave as well, depending on if it's like a disability or they just choose to love you differently or just not cooperate no more. So like Cecil said, most people fall in love with the physical. I'm not 6 feet. I'm not even 5'10". I'm 5'9". So sometimes you get passed over because there's a brother that's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". But the same things that I may do, he may not do. And I think somebody said yesterday, I think it was Tuesday on Amsterdam Talk, when they were talking about secrets. I don't have no secrets. I'm an open book. And what we spoke about on Amsterdam Talk, which was ghosting, which wound up not turning into ghosting, which wound up being these cats had boyfriends and wives. So that's kind of a different category out there. Sometimes, ladies, you gotta look at it. You gotta ask the proper questions. You know, the proper questions to figure it out what it is. And I think most of these brothers on this call, you know, they want to be faithful straight up. So I know me personally, I ain't got time to go make them bathroom phone calls. We all know what those bathroom phone calls are. You got to sneak in the bathroom to make that phone call. I don't think we want to do that. But as I was stating to one of my friends, I say, yo, if you've been dating that size 0 through 5, or that man that's been 6'3" or 6'4", and this is all you've been dating and you keep getting the same results, when is it time for you to make a change? Change ain't bad. Change ain't bad. So, I mean, if you're that brother that likes the thick girl, the big girl, or what they said last night, the BBW, and things didn't go your route, and you keep dating them and the same thing go wrong, why not try somebody different? Preferences, standards are standards. But if you've been doing the same hypothesis for the same time and keep getting the same results, you need to change. Maybe it's you. I mean, I know a lady that's been married 4 times. And I told her, it's time for you to look in the damn mirror. Because obviously it ain't them. What's the common denominator? You. So I think the people in this group, I'm gonna let you talk, but I think the people in this group, you had the bad results. I think you try something new. Whether if he's 6'5", 5'2", she 130 to 230. I think you should try something new if you're getting the same bad results.
Well, see, here's the thing. Oh, I was just gonna say that, you know, okay, say you've been dating short women the whole time, right? Like, all these women do have, they're not the same person. So there's different traits, they're different character, you know. So the point I want to make is yeah, they might all look the same on the outside, but they're different people on the inside. But like you just said, Rod, the common denominator is you. So I think it starts with a mental outlook of how you mentally approaching these situations. Like, for example, if you know, like, I'm gonna use me. I'm not gonna speak for no other man, right? So I did that look in the mirror that we talked about, right? And what I realized was that I know almost instantly, you know what I'm saying, where I want to go when I meet a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like so if I meet somebody and, you know, and I have in my head like, damn, she fine, like, you know, I want to hit that. You know what I'm saying? I done mentally programmed myself to like basically tell myself that when that happens, there's really nothing else in this for me. You get what I'm saying? So if she wants to be intentional, or if I'm giving off intentional energy because I naturally, you know, court or whatever like that, it's already we already spiraling out to a dead end anyway, because I'm mentally checked out prior to even engaging, which is why I chose to take a step back, you know what I'm saying, and get out of that. You know, it's to reprogram how I think, you know what I mean? So a lot of times, now on the flip side of that, you have women, right, who will say that, you know, they are, yeah, I want to be intentional. I want to date with a purpose. I want to be married. I want to find Mr. Right, this, that, and the third. And then a guy comes along and gives her all of these things and shows her, you know, and then if she's truly not ready, it becomes overwhelming and then she leaves, right? So it starts with us being mentally in the space of knowing yourself, knowing truly being real with yourself and knowing what it is you're ready for and being transparent with that other person, no matter what they look like on the outside. You get what I'm saying? But going in knowing like, you know what, I really want to get to know this one for real. You know what I'm saying? Like the sex it doesn't even, if it happens, it happens. If not, but I want to know her, you know, for who she is. You know what I mean? Regardless of what she may look like on the outside. If you haven't made that decision on yourself up front, then it's going to be hard to try to manufacture that going in, because that's not what you set out to do. You know what I mean? That's just the point I wanted to make. So it doesn't really matter what they look like. I mean, we have preferences, of course, but you know, if your mind not right, it's not going to work, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. Carl, I know you wanted to say something. I saw you.
I mean, I think it's important to be open to a certain extent. You know, there are going to be certain preferences and things that, you know, are important to you, but it's just a factor of just understanding that you can get your gifts, just may not come in the wrapping paper you think it should, you know? So it's important to at least be open and be broad, you know? Like, if you're going out to catch fish, you need a wide net, right? Because there's only so many fish you can catch with a net this big, as opposed to one this big, you know? Because to me, and I've done online dating, for example, in the past, and to me, it's not about me using like the web to find a relationship. It's just about connectivity. You know, I might meet somebody who lives 5 miles away from me or 15 miles away from me, another state away from me, who I'm not naturally going to bump into when I go to work and some of the other places I go. In that sense, it's accomplished its purpose for me. What happens between me and a woman, that's on us.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cecil.
I'm gonna go back to something that Rob said real quick.
Okay.
One of the things that we gotta get into doing is to kind of self-evaluate it. Because like Rod said, if you keep dating that 5'4" woman over and over and over again, you got to stop and realize, hey, maybe I'm making this qualification be too important that I'm overlooking other things. Because not all those 5'4" women were the same. But obviously you were so focused on the 5'4" part that you were leaving out other things. You were ignoring other things. So if you see yourself going after the same quality, whether it's the height, it might be, whatever. Light skin, if all you date are light skinned women or dark skinned women or thick women, tall women, whatever the case may be. But if you see yourself only dating one type, then you have got to stop and look and evaluate. Am I putting too much importance on this one quality? And is my putting the importance on this quality making me overlook some things that are causing me problems in my relationship? Do I really need to start looking at these other qualities and evaluating and see, do I need to focus more on this and less on that? And
Oh, you hit
You
your
hit mute.
You hit mute, man. You stopped, don't focus on that. That was the last thing we heard.
Mhm.
You muted
Okay.
yourself, Myron.
Sorry, my
We got
daughter
you now.
called in, so I didn't hear what everybody said.
We didn't hear the last thing you said because you hit mute.
Oh, the call must have muted it. But I was saying that we need to look and see if that particular quality is making us ignore other things. And we got to then reevaluate what our qualities are, what our importances are, and start to reshuffle those things into what is a must have and what is a nice to have, and go from there.
Hey,
Right.
I'm glad you said that, Myron, because I was about to say, we talked about doing that shadow work earlier, evaluating yourself, evaluating what's important. I'm wondering if some of our preferences, or if people ask themselves, why is this preference, this certain thing so important to me? And I'm wondering, is it important to you, or is it important to the people around you, how they will receive that? Are we caught up on how the person we date looks because we want to get the accolades from the people, friends, and family, society around us? I had a friend in college. She was actually dating a friend of mine, and he wasn't treating her right. He wasn't being abusive, but he was just being a jerk. And I was like, "Why are you still dealing with him?" And I was like, "Y'all not. He doesn't treat you right." Honest to God, y'all. Her response was, "It's not about how he treats me. It's about how I look when I'm with him."
Wow.
That was way back in college. But I'm wondering if some people are still in the back of their mind holding that because, they may be, or around a lot of people, or maybe they have a big family, or maybe all the men in their family look like this, or all the women in their family look like that. And you're trying to get a woman that matches all the other women in your family, or all your boys got fine dime pieces and you want to get a fine dime piece, or maybe, you're a sister who's been waiting a while talking about God's going to bring her the right one. And it's just taking time and all of those cliches. And God forbid you walk in there with somebody that makes everybody's like, "Who? Him? That's what you've been waiting on?" And well, that's your choice to live your best life. But these are the real questions we got to ask ourselves. And honestly, if we care about people, be willing to ask them. Because I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Love me by telling me the truth. Bill, Julie, Red, Myron, everybody on here, if we hanging out and I got food in my tea, before I go talk to that lady over there, tell me I got food in my tea. Don't worry about not hurting my feelings. Tell me, bro, hey man, look, your zipper's open. Keep it real with me. And I think if we love people, we need to keep it real with them and say, look, I love you, bro. I love you, sis. But you've been hitting on this I don't know, silhouette thing. She got to have an hourglass figure for years, bro, and it ain't working out for you. Why she got to have an hourglass figure? Are you competing with your biological brother and his wife is banging and you want to try to find somebody to be with him? These are the deep things that most people don't want to talk about.
Point.
Insecurities, man.
Oh yeah, all of that is wrapped up in insecurity and selfishness. Like I said before, their preferences and what they want and everything is something that they've always had since they were little kids and all that other stuff. Yeah, but what about how I envisioned a successful relationship when I was a little kid? There has to be balance, and as soon, I'm gonna tell you, ladies, as soon as a man is that there's no balance, like we always wrong, no matter how much sense it makes, we always gonna be wrong in all
Right.
that we receive, because you find strength in clapback. You know what I'm saying? You think that equates strength. And yeah, girl, you told him and you listening to. Soon as a man senses that, they're ready to pack their bags and leave. And then when he does leave, you want to blame, which is taking that responsibility and that accountability off of yourself and say, that's an ain't shit ninja that just walked out of my life for no reason, because I know I ain't mine. You know, that's part. If he wanted to be a part of my life, then he should accept me for me. Ease up, because what these rock things that you stand on, that people don't want to be around you, and it's not self-serving at all. Men and women have to stop it, and that's what that's the reason why we're having these conversations. We're running a little low on time, so if anybody else wants to jump in with, you know, some solutions, or if there's any questions that are coming in from YouTube, let's take care of those now.
Yeah, I got something I want to touch on real quick. I want to talk to the ladies for a hot second. Now, ladies, if this shoe that I'm about to put out there don't fit you, don't try it on. It fits some of you, and I hope you listen. I ain't never been a woman one day in my life, so I can't tell you how to be a woman, but I can advise you on men. And one thing that I can say as a man that I'm going to bet and say most men in here will probably agree with me. One thing that we don't like to do is argue all the fucking time.
Yes, Lord.
We don't like a whole bunch of strife all the time. So for those that are wondering why we don't comment on a whole lot of posts, is because we see way down in the distance that post is a problem. That post is gonna cause me a headache. I'd rather have a motherfucking drink. I'd rather go smoke a blunt. I'd rather go do anything than comment on this particular post, because it's a setup. So for those individuals that like to just comment, folks, just to be coming, say what you got to say, but you can be respectful. You don't have to attack people. Brothers ain't got time for that, because we wrong no matter what. If we start attacking you, we wrong. Even if you started it, even if you, this is gonna be real unpopular. Even if you deserve what you get, we wrong for giving it to you. All right. So that's why we don't comment on some things that y'all probably want us to comment on. Me, sometimes I have time for it. I don't mind the back and forth sometimes. Sometimes I don't. The other thing that I want to say is respect yourselves, respect other people. I don't want to preach. That's about all I want to say. That's it. I don't want to get too long with it. I got a lot more to say, y'all.
All right, any
I'll take a
thoughts
shot.
that you want to?
Am I? Can y'all hear me? Okay, because I'm hearing a little static.
Yeah.
Okay. The comment from the YouTube chat. Why is appearance so important? Isn't a woman's beauty or a man's height an unworthy condition to require of someone? We do require these, but why? Isn't it what lies within that matters? And I think we addressed that earlier in the discussion. Did we not? I don't want to belabor the same point. I guess to add a little bit more context to it, you know, as men, you know, we don't lead with emotions first, right? We're not necessarily, we're physical creatures, right? So we're gonna be attracted. There's a desire for us to be attracted to you.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, man. Can y'all hear me now? Yeah. There's a desire for us to be attracted to you, to start the process of connecting with you on a deeper level. I don't know why it's like that, but it just is. Sometimes, you know, through friendships that weren't intended to be romantic relationships, people can grow on you, you know, and you wake up and realize like, oh, this person's super dope or whatever like that. But starting out, not knowing you at all and talking about dating, I would want to be attracted to you. That's about all the explanation I can give on that. You know, and I don't like to think that I'm a shallow person, but I'm just being honest.
And
Really,
and
to
it
your
goes
point,
back
though,
to
the
it.
ladies have that. I mean, I got to defend the ladies on this too, because some of them, and I'm just going to go on hype because that's what they seem to be big on. They want to be attracted to their man too. They're visual creatures just like we are.
Mhm.
However, I mean, they're more tapped into their emotions than we are as a whole, but they want to be able to turn over and look at something and be attracted to it. And most women, a lot of women, especially in this group, are attracted to height. I mean, I can't be mad at them for not liking what they don't like.
Absolutely.
But somebody made the point earlier about insanity. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you expecting a different result, then the problem looks back at you when you look in the mirror.
Damn, but you ain't never lying.
You know,
Yeah,
I
lying
got
it up.
I got to
Ju-
tell you that I this height fascination, especially with the women who are like under 5'5", I just like I cannot. I'm still baffled by it because now me personally, I'm 6'2". I like tall women. My second wife was 6'1". I personally prefer tall women, but not, I mean, that's just my preference. I just still could not get over these short women. It's like, oh wow, they just no, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
But there are more preferences out there too, man. You have people who like guys with abs. We like women with big butts. So we like breasts, or we like this, or we like, it's a long list of stuff, man.
Oh yeah, but it's preferences.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. To go to your point, Yuli, if you're gonna follow your preferences, because people look, for the most part, I follow my preferences, but I'm not complaining if I don't hit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because when you decide to go the route of preferences, you accept the results. You thin the herd, and depending upon your preferences, you thin the herd a lot.
Mhm.
Since 90% of the women in the United States are 5'8" and under, if I like tall women,
Yeah, I can understand that.
yeah.
Right. And I think we got
breaking up too.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah.
We got to remember that we're not really knocking preferences. There's nothing wrong with having preferences.
Right.
The problem is when your preferences overtake other stuff. Like for me, all through growing up, I have been an ass man. I love it. That's what I love. But recently, I've gotten to know someone who isn't that. They don't have that. Now, maybe back in the day, I'd have been like, oh no, she ain't got the booty. I can't talk to her. I can't deal with her. You know what I mean? Back in the day, that might have been what I did. But now I realize, these other qualities are dope. These other qualities are good. These other qualities are something that I look for. So does it really matter if the loot is there or not? You know what I mean? As long as, the attraction is there, it's just that particular quality isn't there. But it doesn't really matter because everything else so far outweighs that you don't even notice it. All the other stuff is way, way, way more important. So, do I still have that preference? Yeah, it's still a preference, but I know those other qualities are a higher preference than that was. And so, I let those other qualities overshadow this one rather than let this superficial one overshadow the other stuff. And that's what we got to do.
Myron, I got a question.
Yes.
This woman who didn't fit that preference, was she very confident?
Yes.
Exactly. And this is a lesson for the women. The most important thing you can be is confident. If you're confident in you, true confidence, not arrogance, confidence. You wear that confidence, trust me, you will get attention. You may not get interest, but you'll get you'll get attention for sure. Confidence works all the time.
Go both ways. That's what they tell us to do, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. It goes for both of us, men and women. But it has to be a genuine confidence. It can't be a fake confidence. And that goes
right.
Doing that shadow work, that introspection where you build yourself or you look at yourself from the inside out. I think one of the challenges for everybody, it's hard for them to look at the other person from the inside out because we're not looking at ourselves from the inside out. How much time, energy, effort do we fix on building up the inside, putting on a nice outfit, for the ladies, the makeup, the brothers getting ourselves together. I'm gonna pick on my boy Yuli, putting on the chain, but all of that stuff. And you know I love you. The chain is dope. The chain is the shit. I'm thinking about getting me one, but I don't want to be a copycat, so I got to get on vibe. But all of these things are dope. Look at the cars we drive and the amount of effort we put into working on our car and getting all of that stuff done. And we should continue. How much effort, energy, and even money do we put on working on our inside? And our inside built up, our personality, character, sense of humor, intelligence, all of that worked up. Our knowledge of the world and traveling and understanding different cultures and different people. How much are we pouring into ourselves so that when we meet that person, that stuff will come out?
I would go one further.
Men and women.
I go one step further. When you are working on yourself, every person you meet gets that confidence.
Right, that's my point. It's genuine.
Yeah.
It's sincere.
It's genuine.
It naturally comes out of you. You know, it's the same thing with trying to be funny and telling a joke and someone who just has a natural sense of humor. Pick that up. Okay, he trying too hard. All right, or that nigga funny. Or that brother funny, or he hilarious.
Now, I'm going to tell you about one woman in this group who I'm not going to name, but she has an air of confidence about her that draws guys to her like a magnet. It's unreal. It is unreal. She can draw guys to her like a magnet, and I'll just be sitting back shaking my head. It's like, what is it? Well,
see, I just sat back. I'm
past DM. Past DM, man. Just crazy. It's just utterly crazy. So, but what I'm saying is that's the effect of confidence.
Yeah.
She wears her confidence, and
all right,
she can swim in her preferences. That's all I gotta say.
Man, you're a trip, You're a trip. Mike, we seen you just come in, man. I don't know if you've been able to listen. I've
been doing work at the same time, but I've been listening.
All right, well, let's get a couple comments in from you, and then we're gonna get somebody to lead us in prayer, Cecil, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll do that
afterwards.
Mike, you froze, man.
You coming back, Mike? All right, Jonah, you want to?
Mike's there. He's back.
No, not.
Can you?
Yo, what's going on, OG? Y'all can hear me?
What up?
Yo.
Yeah.
All right. What's good, fellas? I'm just jumping on here. I got a chance to hear Yuli out, hear Gary, hear Ren, hear you, Cecil. And man, at the end of the day, bro, preferences, we all got preferences, man. And at the end of the day, bro, if you're willing to swap your preferences out for somebody that you really meet, that you really vibing with, then it is what it is. Outside of that, man, hey, if females gonna stick to their preferences, dudes can stick to theirs too. But if you're willing to swap that out, then hey, by all means, take that leap, bro. Only if you feel like it's worth it, though. So that's all I got to say.
All right. Good word. All right, Mike, try again, man.
I'm here.
Mike, what up, man?
Mike, my guy, dog.
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
What it do, Mike? What it do?
I'm gonna let Carl finish up with a last thought, and then we're gonna Cecil take us out in prayer, man. We'd like to end this thing in prayer.
Oh, I can't get my preference.
I was waiting. It's not
you know your preference, Mike.
No, we can't give you. We can't do that, Mike. We not. This ain't the shoot your shot.
I'm gonna be completely honest. This is 100%. I have no preference. However, you need to be true-hearted, faithful, and loyal, and that's my preference. That's it. And
All
love
right.
me.
Go ahead, Carl.
Well, he kind of said where I was going, you know, because sometimes when women ask me, like, what's my type? And they're expecting like a physical breakdown. And, you know, I mean, those things do apply, but I look for phenomenal women, you know, amazing women could be short, they could be slim, they could be, you know, thick, they could be a lot of different things, you know. Again, that leaves me open to receiving, you know, somebody who I may not have in my 20s, 30s, may not even, you know, consider before, but you can still get what you want.
Absolutely.
OG.
And thank you for, you know, indulging me and engaging in this conversation. It's like, you know, you post out there and it seems to come in themes, like, you know, all of a sudden one post leads to another post and then that other post. And it's like what they're talking about or the argumentative value of what they're battling each other and jabbing each other about has nothing to do with the real nitty gritty of what we're feeling. And I like trying to find out what it is everybody is so mad about, what it is somebody is, what it is that's keeping us out of these successful, productive, healthy relationships. So when I notice it, I see it. If anybody else starts to feel a certain way about life, wow, there's like 50 posts that came in here about the same thing, it's just saying it a different way, then, you know, let me know and we can all talk about it. Cecil, thank you all for you know, joining me, and I'm blessed by all of your opinions and everything. I think everybody in this room learned something. Everybody
we lost you.
You learned something. Cecil, your show Friday is premiering, right?
Yes, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So
all right, but it's building
about building together. So
building together. That's it.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now, and we're going to expound upon it in detail tomorrow night and every other first Friday. So of every month we'll be there. Me and my co-host Kim. We're going to things down from both sides of the spectrum, male and female. Now this is a rated R+ show. So we're going to keep it real, and all them questions, all them things you wanted to talk about that you was too shy to put on the main page or too shy to talk about in person, bring them. It's an interactive show. So this show is different because your audience is going to be just as much part of the show as we are. So bring it. Bring your questions and bring your things that you wanted to talk about that you wasn't sure to ask. I'll ask you because y'all know me. I got stuff to say. So put it in the comments. You support us by lighting them comments up. We want them comments filled with all kinds of questions. Now, we ain't going to get to all of them, but so put yours in there as fast as you can. So my co-host Kim can grab them, share them with me, and I'm going to ask them. I'll put it out there for you and say, hey, how come this? Why don't that? Whatever. And it's for both men and ladies to join in, to be a part of. But here's the kicker. We're going to take that show from 9 to 9:55, and then we're going to go right into the happy hour hosted by my man, Bill Clemens. And then everybody gets to talk about it. And then you get to put it out there. Hey man, look, y'all mentioned this. So let me tell you, like I just saw on the thing, Gary, can you send that lady's name to my boy Rod and ask him the damn talk? Because they want to know what kind of confidence she has to do it. They want her to do a tutorial confidence. Or confidence tutorial.
I'll ask her that. Ask
her to reach out to my boy Rod for Amsterdam Talk. And if anybody don't know what Amsterdam Talk is, Amsterdam comes on, is it every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, Bill?
I think it's every other Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Okay, every on Tuesdays. Let's put it like that. Just tune in on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock for Amsterdam Talk. So we getting some great shows coming in. We're gonna light it up. But yeah, tune in tomorrow night at 9 o'clock for Building Together. We're gonna talk about working together. Here's the premise. We trying to get all of us, myself included, from point A, where we at right now, to point B, with somebody in a relationship that you want. So if you're trying to figure it out, if you don't know how to do what you want, how to get the one you want, tune in with us. Hopefully by the time we get done our episodes, because it's going to be a bunch of them, then you're going to be with the right person you need to be with, where you need to be with, how you need to be.
Oh, shit.
All right. So, we're making magic happen here on the HBCU
Yes, sir.
Singles Lounge Network. We're doing it all for you. We're all busting our behinds, dedicating a lot of our time, sitting and using this COVID time that we have to sit down and learn something, make it productive, so that when we come out of this season, it'll be time for something new and productive in our lives. All right, Cecil, hit us off, man.
We get back to catching flights.
Catching flights.
Catching flights. Okay, you ready, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, if all hearts and minds are clear. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to come together and to share our time, our energy, our experiences, our life, the life that you blessed us with. We thank you for the opportunity, even in the midst of this pandemic, to make lemon out of lemonades. And we thank you for Eva Joy for creating this platform and using this opportunity over Facebook and the internet to bring so many people together and be able to bring so many people into good, healthy relationships, Lord God. Lord, we pray that you will bless us and guide us with this word, that it'll inspire our hearts and ignite our souls to go forward and to do the shadow work that we need to do to become better people and to become the people that you intended us to be, Lord. Open our hearts, minds, eyes, and souls, Lord God, to grow and to mature and to hear you and to hear the word that was spoken tonight, dear God. We pray that you will bless us with safety, health, and strength and bring us up tomorrow. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
All right, fellas.
Good to
Dope
see
as
everybody.
always.